Welcome, everyone. This is Waleed AlHamdan. It's a pleasure to have you all. Sincerely, thank you, Mark, for giving me the time again to talk about a new subject that we have discussed offline for a few days that multiple people are asking, or I could see it searching, is how can I measure customer experience, which is the measurement. I think so. There are more than one level. There are the level of measuring through people, measuring through technology, measuring through performance, measuring through ROI, basically, is that the return on investment on it. So please, the floor is yours. It's your call. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Waleed. Yes, I really appreciate this opportunity to be here. And this is a very essential, I think, conversation, an essential component to the overall customer experience process and the journey. You spend a lot of time sort of designing the experience you would like your customers to receive, and you have it in your mind, a very clear picture of how you would like all of your frontline team members to really deliver on that promise, on that sort of expectation. And so it's important and essential to go back and really determine how close you are getting to the mark, because there's a lot of components that have to do with how effectively they will be able to deliver on that experience. And that is, things that are outside of your control, like weather and time of day and the number of people that are inside of your store or inside of your location. And so we have to recognize that it is not always a picture perfect moment. But what we felt at Disney was important was really to try and measure using the very, very customary secret shopper program. So, bringing someone in at an unknown, at an undisclosed moment in time once a month, in order to really kind of conduct a shopping experience, and then really kind of notate how were they treated, what did they experience, how did they feel. Now, what was unique is that we had in the previous sort of generations of Disney Store, this shopping sort of program kind of evolved. At first, it was looking at cleanliness and the neatness of the store and how well together it was put. And it was very lengthy, and there were many components, and the total score was of 101, like the Dalmatians. The top score was 101 that you would try to achieve. Very difficult to achieve, extremely difficult to achieve, but very much something that you aspired to. And every once in a while, you were pleased to see that you received that 101 score.
So it was a challenge between the branches?
Oh, it was a challenge between branches and districts and regions, divisions. Yes. So there were bonuses were also calculated on that level of service that you were able to deliver. So sales, service, and then sort of like show, which was kind of how you were able to maintain the standards within the store. But from the service perspective, what we spent a lot of time really designing how we wanted to kind of turn the page and create this new, unique mission magic strategy. And so what we found, or what we decided, was that it was going to take a very unique measuring system. And so we were fortunate to partner up with a really great vendor, a really great partner who was willing to say, okay, tell us what you would like us to do. Tell us what your needs are, and we'll try and work together to build a program. And so with Disney, it's very important that we tell stories. It's about storytelling. We are really all about, telling really wonderful stories. And so we began to design the result as a story. And the stories usually have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And we wanted to try and help the cast members in the stores understand that we understood the levels of complexity that it took to run a Disney store to the standards that it was, demanded. And so what we really wanted to do was really help people understand that we're not trying to catch you doing something wrong. And one of the ways that we thought we would do that was really introduce the types of people who were going to be conducting the shops. And what was very important, one very critical component was we were requiring that the shopper comes in with a child. Now, the child could be 12 years old, 10 years old, 5 years old, 1 year old, but they had to be shopping with a child, because that was the typical sort of guest that came to the store. So we really wanted to try and see, are we treating the children of these shoppers, the way that we really hoped them, really wanted them to be treated? And that was not simple. We had to really kind of, the vendor that we used was like, okay, well, you're introducing a component that nobody else has introduced before. So give us some time to try and find enough people in these areas. So obviously it's not to service this account. And so, yeah.
No,
so we gave them,
you freeze.
Oh, yeah. So we gave them some time to really kind of like develop their kind of teams that were going to be going out to visiting our stores. And keep in mind, we had really kind of shrunk the chain so that it wasn't that there were a lot of stores all around each other. So there was like, this many in Los Angeles, this many in San Francisco, this many in Denver, this many, but it wasn't that they were very close together. So we understood, look, this is going to be tough, and we're going to be asking you to do something challenging. And so we wanted to kind of like get some biographies, some bios of those folks to be able to introduce them to our team members. So before we launched this program, we did have one of the team meetings where we said, we want you to meet Mrs. Smith, Mrs. whatever, whoever, or Mr. So-and-so. And this is their backstory. This is what they do for a living. This is how many children they have. This is the type of person that's going to be coming into your shop. This is the type of, and so we introduced a nice array of different people in different parts of the country who we wanted to just kind of like, not so that you could print their pictures and put it up and look for them. No, but we wanted you to understand that we are sending in people who are exactly like your typical customers. These are not professional, like secret shoppers that are looking for, something to put in their report. That was the first thing that we did. The second thing that we did was we created something a narrative, which was a story. So the shop was not simple to complete, because what we wanted you to do was either make a purchase or a return. And we asked you to obviously bring in a child, but then we also said, when you write the report, you have to write it in this way. And the report essentially said, once upon a time, there was a shopper named, and they put the shopper's name in. And this shopper and then there was a room for them to kind of describe who they are, what type of like family they had, there's some sort of descriptive about them.
Info. So basically, you collected some info about the customer.
Yes. And so we collected we had them share so that they could so that our team members, once they receive the report, can understand that this person has a family, they're taking their children to school or picking their children up from school, they're getting ready for a birthday party. There's something that's happening in their life so that they kind of see, okay, our secret shoppers could be anybody, because this is the type of person that we get in here hundreds and hundreds of times every single day. And so there is some authenticity to it. And so then the story would really kind of go from who you are and what has been going on that day. So before you even came to the store, this was happening. Once you got into the store, this was like the meat of the story. This was like the height of the story. This is sort of like, I want to talk about when I came in, here's how I felt. And a lot of things were how I was made to feel. Was I made to feel welcome? Was I made to feel like it's like part of the family? Was I made to feel? So we were looking for certain terms and words that we wanted people to kind of share, that this is really the type of experience that they were having. How quickly did you get approached? Did anybody approach? And then the really important thing, which Disney makes, is very important, is that was my child somebody who was addressed? Did the cast member address my child, son, daughter, whomever it is? Did they get down onto their level? So they're observing the behaviors and the actions that the cast member is taking. And they are really trying to kind of say, are we changing behaviors? Are we really kind of moving the needle with respect to the behaviors? The end of the story was the cash register experience, the box office experience. So it was very much not like how long did you wait in line, but if you waited in line, were you acknowledged and thanked for waiting? Were you acknowledged and told it's going to be about just 2 minutes? Was there ever any kind of instruction that was sort of delivered to you that made you feel more in control and comfortable during this particular process?
So amazing. So if
yes.
if I may interfere,
please.
So basically, you were using communication on the journey to build an interaction and a relationship with the customer to understand the trends of behavior in each touch point that you have, the group has decided to see that where is the moment of truth that differentiates with the customer or
yes.
the family, basically. Because when I hear your questions, it's deep questions. People who don't understand it, these are questions which really impact the behavior of the mother and the father.
Yes.
And it makes them decide. So was this technology was not included at all? Am I correct? It was
right
one-to-one.
In this point, you're right. It is not included. Yes, this was completely human interaction that we were really trying to measure. Now, we were not measuring the effectiveness of the technology, but what we did ask certain places, if you recall in the previous conversations, we talked about Mission Magic and having this place where you have an eye touch and put the name of the child and celebrate that child. We did ask, not every single one of them, but we would ask, were you asked the reason why you came in today? And if so, was there any additional experience offered to you? And so there were a couple people that we wanted to write in, be sure to ask, be sure to tell the cast member it was your child's birthday, or it is there's a special celebration that's happening. We wanted to be sure that we've given them the tools, we've given them the resources. Are they using them? Are they really delivering those? Now, if it is really busy and there are dozens and dozens of people in the store, yes, it makes it difficult. And we do ask them to try and determine like just a rough estimate of how many people are in the store, because we obviously want to kind of weigh all of the different circumstances that were occurring. We wanted to be as fair and honest as possible with ourselves and to the team as well. But here's a big but. It is subjective. There is some science, but there is also feeling and emotion. And whether or not the emotion, whether or not you deliberately didn't make the person feel special, if the person didn't feel special, that's how they felt. And you as a team member and a cast member have to own that. You have to own that your customer, your guest, feels good about visiting your store. So yes, it was busy. Yes, it was a Saturday. Yes, you might have gotten a shipment that came to your back door at the same time. And so there was all these other things, but that doesn't negate the fact that this person walked away not feeling that good. And so regardless of the circumstances, we didn't deliver on that very basic Disney promise, is that we are going to care about you as somebody who we value. Amazing.
So basically, measuring that and that journey is really help you. Can I understand how did it help you as a management or as a decision makers to make new decisions, to improve, change, all of that?
So that's a fantastic question. And at the outset, what we felt was that we had created something bespoke, unique, original, brand new, never been done before. So we were very proud of ourselves that we were getting these insights that were like a few levels higher than the typical kind of NPS, kind of like those types of scores. Here's the problem, and this is a big problem. We rated it on a 5-star scale.
Mm-hmm.
So just like Amazon, just like, you know, TripAdvisor and Netflix and everything, it's like 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, 5 stars. A lot of people were getting 4 stars or 5 stars, a couple of 3 stars. Yes, there were a few 1s and 2 stars. And those were really obvious. Okay, what do we look for? What do we see here's what we should change, and we should dial in and make a decision. Here's where we should focus. You know, consistently, you're not really engaging with your guests. Consistently, the cash wrap, the box office, the cash register experience isn't like up to par. Consistently, this, whatever those are. When it's 4s and 5s, it's hard to say, here is what you should really kind of focus on. Here is where you should turn the dial a little bit and get even better. And where we saw was we had a large, inordinately high number of 4s and 5s. It's a good problem to have, but is there really room to get that much demonstrably better? Like really kind of make yourselves like, are you hitting a ceiling essentially? And what we found, not that, you know, we were going to be satisfied with, you know, 3s, 4s, 5s, but what we found was we did not have a strong case to say, here is really kind of where we should focus next. Here is what we should really kind of do. Because the way this was measured and the way the cast members loved it. They thought, okay, I feel like I've been heard. I've had a voice in sort of how we built it. We did build it, and it's coming off, you know, effectively. And look, I got a 4. I got a 4.5 average. I got a 5 average. And there were prizes. If you got 3 5s per quarter, you know, a 4.5, you know, average per quarter, you know, that kind of stuff. So I think overall, what it did was we decided we would layer on the NPS type of score as well, so that we had a kind of a balance. We had the one moment in time, and then we had a big gathering of data. Like you're getting an email after your purchase, or you're getting a phone call after your purchase, or you know, there's a pop-up that comes over. No. That was for the online store. Sorry. Yeah. You're getting an email, you're getting a phone call to rate sort of how your experience went.
Basically you did a combination between a CSAT and an NPS. Yes. The CSAT, which is from 1 to 5, yes. The NPS is from 1 to 10. This combination helped you to make the right decision, but yes. And understand more where does it make a difference.
Yes.
To the customer. Okay.
Yeah. Overall, we were very pleased that behaviors changed from before we started the program to launch Mission Magic to when we started measuring. And that was like a 2-year period. We did see a change in that there was more consistency with which people were being like, because we asked them, did they mention a story? You know, so when you were going to the Toy Story section, you're like, oh, hey, welcome to Andy's bedroom. You know, which toy is going to move first or whatever, or, you know, welcome to Radiator Springs. You know, this, you know, our favorite Lightning McQueen was just here, you know, something like that, bringing in some sort of storytelling. You know, we asked about that, and that was coming to life. And that was something that we saw happening more consistently. If they got there early and they saw the opening ceremony, yes, that was important to us. These things that we were introducing, which, yes, we spent a lot of money and time and effort to develop and, you know, put the technology in it. Was it being used? Yes, that's great. Okay. No excuses, no reasons why that shouldn't happen. If it's a ritual, we really needed it to happen, and it was. And so those were things that we were able to kind of like see, measure, and feel good that we were delivering on the experience that we were hoping to deliver.
one last question, because
Sure.
this is something I really faced, which is any surprises. What do I mean by surprises? Is that you were expecting, as a management, that the outcome of a performance, an outcome of in the journey, that it will be, let's say, something that people will be happy about. Surprisingly, after you did the NPS and the CSAT, the numbers showed that your decision was not correct. The customer needed something else. So do you have any recall of anything?
Yes. So when we first introduced the Imagination Park store, we introduced in a town called, I think I mentioned before, Montebello, California, a very sort of high Hispanic, working class sort of mall, which the idea was, if it works there, if we're able to get people to spend money and stay, to spend time, enjoy coming, visiting repeatedly, and, spend money. If we're able to do it there, we should be able to do it everywhere, and it should be great. So a little bit later on that year, we went to this mall in Santa Monica, California, which is a very high tourist area. So this is not, there are homes and people do live around there. But what we found was that people didn't necessarily want the level of care, experience, and handholding that we were providing in Montebello. We were providing, we wanted to do the same thing, but this particular guest was a tourist, and they were kind of in a hurry, and they have a lot of things. They weren't very relaxed and calm. They wanted to see a lot of things, and they had only a certain amount of, time that they were able to shop. There were buses that dropped people off, and they had like 2 hours to shop in this mall. And so they were kind of going from store to store. So I think what we determined ultimately was, let's not just say, okay, 100% of the people need to be treated this way, like, without question. You will do it this way. I don't care. No, it's about really kind of reading the guest, understanding sort of like, what's their body language, what words are they using, how quickly are they speaking, and do they seem to be in a hurry, those types of things, to really kind of personalize the experience, to really kind of say, look, I will meet your energy level, and I will go as quickly as I feel like you are looking for me to go. And I'm not going to stop and say, let's celebrate your birthday. I'm not going to stop and say, these kind of things. We're just going to get you in, we're going to get you out, and then you're going to be satisfied.
That's great. That's great. I think so. We can, as I say, close it to this for this session, and we could discuss on our next session. Thank you again, Mark, for giving me the time. I hope all is good with you, and I hope everyone is getting, as they say, great experiences from a great guy like Mark, who really was a change, a person who really made a change in Disney, who really put a fingerprint in the history of Disney. That I would love everyone to look him up. He's an amazing guy. I met him more than once, and I really hope that as soon as possible I could see him here in Riyadh, really helping us to really change what we see here in the total, as they say, areas of Saudi magic, let's say, that are happening. Thank you again, Mark. It's really a pleasure to have you for giving me the time.
Waleed, seeing you in Riyadh would be a dream come true. So I hope we can make it so. I appreciate everything that you're doing, and wonderful talking to you as always.
Thank you, my dear.